morning, we are about to have a very important conversation on business and markets. And, this morning we're going to be looking into how to survive COVID-19 as a young business, how to survive COVID-19 as a small business owner. In this alone this morning, actually, we have the founder of Leora Consults with us this morning in the name of Deborah, Hello Deborah Odibo. She has a master's degree in communication and international marketing from the University of Surrey and a BSc in communication studies from the Central University of Ghana. She's one of the founders of Leora Consults, and we are more than glad for you to join us this morning. Good morning, Deborah. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Deborah.
Okay.
Hello?
All right.
She's here. Good morning, Deborah. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
How is Abuja this morning?
Pardon?
How is Abuja this morning?
I'm doing very well. Abuja is very fine.
All right.
Thank you. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. Thank you very much.
It's going great. Our conversation this morning is on surviving COVID-19 as a young business owner, as a young business, as an SME, as an SBO
Yes.
or MSME. And we all know that the pandemic really affected businesses, especially during the lockdown.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the factors you think must have affected young businesses during COVID-19. In fact, right now, what is affecting them?
Okay, I think there are a plethora of factors that have affected young businesses in Nigeria. One of which that are very, very dear to me is customer service as well. Customer service in Nigeria, some people would say, Nigeria, usually the customer service can be really poor, especially in restaurant and lifestyle businesses. But after the lockdown and even during the lockdown, customer service had to be prioritized because now consumers are at home. They might have lost their jobs or have had maybe a slash in their income. So the type of money that they decide to spend, they are more intentional about it. And most people now would rather spend more money where there is better customer service than where there isn't. So that's just one of the things. Then there's also pricing as well. If this is a product rather than a service, pricing has to also be taken into consideration because the economy has changed. The amount of income people have has also changed. So the pricing of your product has to be able to adapt to the current changes of the market. There's the taste also and the preference of your consumer. It changes. The things that we might have needed pre-COVID might not have been the things we needed during the lockdown. I remember when people were going ham over tissue, something that we had on a normal day.
Yeah,
So there are so many
actually.
things. I know you remember that craze, and everybody, it looked like a movie. And that's because the taste and the preference of consumers, it changes based on the environment, based on whatever situation is going on. And we happen to have that be COVID for us. There's also the price of related goods in the market. There are times where you might go to one store and see an item that goes for 2,000 naira, for instance. And you cross the road and that same product might be 2,500 naira. I expect you would go to the one that costs 2,000 naira, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some of those things are things that, or factors, are things that business owners, entrepreneurs, they have to put it into consideration. There's also a bigger example, if I may, is how we have seen how Nigeria has shifted into the worst recession yet.
Yeah.
Because people were working remotely last year or even got laid off. So they weren't even going anywhere. So this automatically reduced the amount of fuel that people were consuming and automatically put Nigeria into a recession.
Okay.
However, in contrast, in this same period, that is from last year to this year, Elon Musk is now the richest man in the world. Why?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
He has invested in clean energy. So that is something that has to do with you paying attention to the market and your consumers' needs.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So let's talking about customers very briefly, very quickly rather. You've just highlighted pricing. You know how businesses now need to consider pricing. Because of the situation of things. It's very interesting that you mentioned that. Given that they're actually, given there has been price hikes, in fuel, in the sale of bread, and things like
products
that.
and
To say,
services,
like the normal day-to-day food and things like this. So what other factors do businesses need to consider? Factors affecting the customers. What other factors affecting the customers do businesses need to consider when they are re-strategizing and, remodeling their operations during these times?
Okay, I also think that your customers' expectations are very important. What kind of value are you giving to your customers while you demand that price? Even if it's in a price hike, there also needs to be a commensurate increase in the value of your service or product being rendered. So you can't just slap a new price onto a product or onto a service and, expect your consumers to adapt. What are the expectations with that price hike, if there are any?
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know. And there's also, sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear me. Okay, and I also think the number of people or consumers you have in the market, that should also influence these decisions. For instance, the amount of people, pardon? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, please. Please go on.
It's gone.
Okay, great. So, for instance, the number of consumers in your market. So, for instance, oil seller. I like to sell oil, for instance, groundnut oil or vegetable oils, such and such. How many people actually buy groundnut oil and or vegetable oil? That is also a very important factor because then you can now tell the amount of demand that exists in the market and be able to adjust your business to your consumers' demands. And anytime you put your customer and your consumer in the center of your overall branding and business strategy, it influences everything because that means that whatever effort you put into your business, it will positively affect your customers. And this also goes to the marketing as well, the positioning of your brand in their mind. When they think of your brand, when they think of your shop, when they think of your business, as a young entrepreneur or as a young business, what comes to their minds? Do they have a positive affiliation to your brand? Do they believe that you are listening to their needs? These are all the things that maybe pre-corona we might have not put too much effort or too much consideration into, but the lockdown and post-lockdown, things have changed. Now the question is, will your business change too, or is it going to stay in one place?
I'm talking about your business changing during the pandemic, during the lockdown. Actually, a lot of businesses had to go digital. So now let's talk about the role of digital. I know that because we weren't able to go out, we had to start doing everything online. Everybody had to start conversations online. Businesses that weren't online needed to create an online presence and, all of that. But as a young business, do you think that, getting digital marketing officials and all of that to run their business is very advisable? Because, they're trying to make sure that their customers are getting all the demands that they want. They're also trying to propagate their way on social media and get their online presence. Do you think it is very advisable for them to get somebody to run that for them, or they should just run it on their own?
Oh, well, this question is dear to me because I was directly affected by this.
All right.
The company that I was consulting for, we usually host competitions which involve thousands of people coming into one location at a time. It was to empower people, and it was in a way a foundation. However, because of Corona, that was automatically impossible.
Whoa.
So what did we have to do? We had to start looking for ways to stay relevant, stay ahead, while still providing these non-profit services to people. We had to start switching to things like Zoom. Zoom has been there. Zoom has existed for a while, but people had to start switching to Zoom, mass WhatsApp calls. Facebook now started theirs. Instagram currently now has rooms where you can video chat up to 50 people at a time. Why? It's because there is demand in this. It's because there is a shift. When you see massive and global organizations such as Facebook making these changes, know that there has been a lot of research put into it, not just in one country, but worldwide. There is a change and a shift happening, and it's up to young business, owners to put out their eyes there, get your intuition out there, and listen. Put your ears to the ground and see what is happening, so that you're not the company that is being redundant. When it comes to digital media, etc., I believe it's very instrumental, because sometimes these things are available at a cheaper price or for free. Zoom, for instance. You can have a Zoom call with anybody across the world for 40 minutes without paying a dime, apart from the data services, which you already pay for, but that's a bit fair. And for other services as well, I found personally that digital media, social media, it can be very instrumental. For example, when you're designing your logo or website or promotional materials, which is something that we've had to do even more during this time, because you have to sell yourself more and put yourself out there more. From accounting as well, there are apps that you can do your accounting straight from your phone. Just input how much money you're making, how much money the customer needs to send you, such and such. Everything can happen on your phone. The other day, someone asked me for my business card, and I told them I've gone paperless, and I sent it to them via a link.
That is the way now, really.
That is it.
That is the way.
Honestly, they were impressed by it, because I can add a video to my business card, and I can put my Instagram handle and everything. So once you click on my link, you have all my information there, and it's saved straight to your phone. I can follow up on meetings, I can remind you, I can give you a call straight from the app. Everything is on there. I don't even think I would have paid more attention to that pre-COVID, because then I wouldn't even think about it. I would just print a rim out and give it out. But these days, you're also avoiding the amount of personal contact you have with people. So those are the types of changes that sometimes you have to put into consideration as your business goes along. Even in production, there are people who have had to start doing live shows and interviews from their home.
Yeah. We know all about that. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that was a very creative period, especially last year, when the whole world was literally at home. I remember there were different, even musicians as well, who did live shows from their homes. I don't think that would have been possible pre-corona. I really doubt it. Or I don't think we would have paid more attention to it pre-corona. But after that happened, I think people started saying, how can we still push for creativity while staying relevant, still having social currency as well? So people had to start thinking, okay, what can I do? So if there's any service that you are thinking of, there is most likely an app or a software for it, which may or may not be available to you for free or at a cheaper price than if you are getting a human being doing it for you. I'm not trying to say we're trying to replace, but sometimes, and at times like this, it's time for us to work with our resources and finances to still create what we need and achieve all our goals. And apparently digital media is really helpful and instrumental in that. So for me, it's a yes.
Deborah, let me ask you this one very quickly. In your conversation right now, you talked about paying attention, and I feel like we cannot completely say paying attention without talking about forecasting.
Yeah.
So you know that a lot of businesses didn't even know that the lockdown was going to happen in April, and we didn't know that the virus is going to be was going to be as serious as it is right now. I mean, people didn't even pay attention to it. I thought that it's not something that would never come to our part of the world. I'm even talking about Nigeria. It's like, oh, no, it's rich people's virus and everything. And then it came and a lot of businesses crashed. A lot of businesses couldn't make it into the end of the year. In fact, couldn't make it into the new year. So moving forward for young businesses, how do you think they can plan or forecast for the future in case anything happens or in case they need to shift base or there's a paradigm shift in their business ventures?
Yeah.
I think businesses that last the longest are ones that are willing to adapt to change. And if there's anything that we learned last year, a lot of work activities don't even need to be done in the office. They can be done from home. It even had a positive effect on the environment. I found that once the lockdown was over, I found flowers blooming in places I haven't seen bloom in 5 years. The air was cleaner. It reduced a lot of stress for people. Imagine being stuck in Lagos traffic for hours just to get to work, and you work for more hours, and then you go back into traffic and get home again, and you're exhausted. And exhaustion has a direct effect on your mental health, which has a converse effect on your productivity. Last year people lost their jobs or had price slashes or salary slashes. Why? It's because of the things that were happening around us. So if you still enforce your own work practices during a time such as that, and during a time as now, because we're still in this pandemic, we're still in the throes of the pandemic, it is still important to meet once in a while, have that face-to-face, value with your staff, for instance. But sometimes we have to realize that, is this really needed at this time? Or is this something we can easily do over a voice call? I know there are people that still prefer a fixed salary income by the end of the month and everything, but sometimes these companies enforce old work practices. And if it's anything with the digital, media we just spoke about, we can see very clearly that these things, there are other ways to go about them. There's also another thing that is very important, apart from the change, is listening to your customers, listening to your consumers, and willing to try new things so that you can evolve. Being able to deduce and apply initiatives. For instance, there are some trading companies that now use AI.
Yes.
So they might not even need an actual accountant. So they keep getting smarter. And if you're in such a space as that, you too have to keep getting smarter. You too have to keep building upon the knowledge that you already have existing. Maybe try volunteering for another organization, or saying, oh, you know what, I will help you out with such, and such. Just give me access to this, and this. And it will help you gain better knowledge about the market changes as well. Another example before I go is the Japan. Japan has an entire warehouse of robots making Sony products, and that's where they're actually going to continue production of the PS5. So gamers are going to have their PS5 made solely by robots.
Interesting.
And that's the world that we live in right now. The world is changing. And I know that is the gaming space, but all these market changes have effects on all of us, and it's up to us as young businesses to look to the future and say, how am I going to be prepared for this? And sometimes you might not have all the answers at once, but having an open mind and knowing that, yes, things are not going to stay the same. Fuel prices might not be the same. What the consumers want might not be the same. The prices of things might have to change. Are you going to change with those things? Or are you going to be the one that is, they're telling the story, oh, how that company was so great. Oh, that entity was so great. But they were not able to adapt to even their staff needs. So those are the things that are getting me. And just to sum it up, listening to your customer, you have to listen. We ask for feedback, know what works for them, and try as much as possible to adjust to it.
Thank you
That's
so
it.
much, Deborah. Thank you very much for joining us this
Very
morning.
insightful.
In fact, we're able to learn even more than what we were expecting.
Yes,
Thank you for
actually.
letting us draw from your wealth of knowledge. We just listened to Elo Deborah Odibo. She is the founder of Lyra Consult, and she's
Yes.
been able to break down the conversation that we're having this morning on surviving COVID-19 as a young business. What are the things that you're supposed to do? What should you pay keen attention to?
Yes.
There is one thing that she hammered on that I really like is listening to your customers,
Customers, very
listen to your
important.
consumers, and take feedbacks,
Yes.
take criticisms. That's what we took this morning
Yes.
on the lessons and nuggets
One
of
of the-
Elon
yeah.
Musk. Yeah. He talked about criticisms and how you should actually look for the negative feedback.
Yes, exactly.
Hear what it is that you have not done right,
Exactly.
and then work on it. And as you do that, you realize that your company gets better, you go bigger, you become better by the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Really.
You know, if there's anything that is quite peculiar that marks out the information age, a difference that marks out the information age from the industrial age is this thing about data. And what forms data, as a matter of fact, is consumers and customers. So when you're not focusing on consumers and customers, you are missing a key element in, you know, in a key part of your business, a key USP, a key part of your business that can form your strong USP, you know, that can form your strong KPIs for your organization. So, you know, customers and consumers are very, you know, they are very important.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's important also that you work on your customer service.
Yes, actually.
Please. I realize that a lot of times people do not pay attention to that. Look, your business will not survive if you don't have good customer service relationships, if you don't have somebody that is there, that is always friendly, that's always nice, and is always looking out for you when you're not there. It might even be you. You might be your customer service. I mean, because you're a young business owner, you are trying as much as possible to save costs and also grow your business. So you might not have enough to have a lot of hands on deck. So if you are the one that owns that business, if you are the CEO or the chairman of your company, and you're also the customer service personnel that is relating with people every day, try as much as possible to be as professional and as friendly and be nice. Sometimes people don't even really buy the product, they buy the people.
Yeah, you know, this thing about trade is actually a relationship. Trading is a relationship because there is exchange. So exchange does not just have to be in financial terms. Exchange can also be in relational terms. What do I mean? It is important to build a relationship with your customer so that customer comes to you for your services and your products all the time. Because when they don't have a relationship with the brand or with the, you know, with the producer of said products, it is very easy for them to sway away. Do you understand?
Let's just move on
Do you
to the
understand?
next
But when
person.
there is a relationship, that is not just financial, and that relationship, as you have said, is actually built on through customer service, you know, through feedback, through, you know, reviews, you know, through just follow-up as well, and just contacting and regularly checking on your customers. That's one thing businesses do. For instance, you know, this thing about newsletters, when they send you emails about promos and combos and, you know, and about, you know, new products. They are essentially just trying to stay in your head.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So it's a relationship thing that they are forcing a relationship with you. And you know, now obviously you know, the data terms and conditions have changed because of privacy laws and things now. So
in fact, I think it's a conversation that we should have.
We should have, you know, so you actually have to say yes to that relationship.
You don't even have a choice, because the moment you do not say yes, you don't get an opportunity to actually use that product.
And you feel left out.
Is that even right?
Well, there's a anyway, we won't talk about it. But there's a
Is that even right? Because in terms of I'm like, okay, so there is, I do not agree on this, agree. So if I do not agree, then I don't get to use this app. But then if I agree, there are some things that I'm not really agreeing with, but I have to agree because I have to use the app. That's mind-boggling.
And if I don't use the app, I feel left out, and I probably can't even get work done.
I can't get work done because that's the app that everybody's using at work. Then what do I do?
Yeah, so it's like we've been
Well, force is like,
yes.
you know, somebody actually forcing a friendship on you that, you
Yeah.
know what, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
You have to do this.
Okay, well, that's not a conversation.
Okay. Anyways, that's not
So
the
let's just stop
conversation
there.
this morning. If you want to survive as a business owner during the pandemic, all of this that we've said is some things that you should do. But if you missed the conversation, do not worry. You're going to find it on our social media platform, especially on YouTube. All you have to do is follow or subscribe. Click that like button. And of course, you will get more of interesting conversations that we've had on Tea or Coffee.